Yeah, it's a really good way of looking at it, actually. I guess I never really thought about it like that. But it also highlights something really interesting that I discovered when I was in college, right? Is that you're typically, paid or compensated towards the value that you bring to the marketplace, right? And that thought brings me to those crazy meta offers that were announced, a
Mhm.
couple weeks ago, right? Where they were paying OpenAI engineers something like $100 million or something like that, and $1 million sign-on bonus. I mean, for one, Zuckerberg, if you want to throw around some money, I'll give you I'll give you my personal cell phone, right?
Give me a call.
Yeah, please. It also highlights the importance of this area that Meta is now saying, hey, we're basically defunding our metaverse. That was the core business product that we were developing for the past, probably 7 to 10 years, right? That's how long we've been hearing about it. And we're going to go all in on this AI thing. And we're going to pay people that know how to do it. And like you said, you're probably one in a million. It's probably even a bigger ratio than that, in my opinion, right? And they're just trying to get anyone that they can that is in that 0.1% of the population in IT that actually understands anything. And I had on a AI security researcher from NVIDIA. I'm actually trying to get him back on, but he's kind of gone dark on me, which is
Probably busy.
interesting. Yeah, I hope he's just busy, but I hope he's busy with good stuff. But he was talking about, the things that he is doing is, essentially like trying to figure out how to keep these models true and how to keep them, not harming humanity and whatnot. And the only way that you do that is really to have like a hierarchical, AI model where there's one that you point to, but then there's other questions that lead to it where like, well, how do I penetrate that hierarchical model and infiltrate or try to sway that all-seeing notion of good some way to impact the underlying models, right? It's obviously a theory. I probably just butchered it right there. I'm sure he's going to send me an email very angrily now for butchering it, but maybe he'll come back on and correct me, right? But it's an interesting time is what I'm trying to get at.
It is an interesting time, and that's actually a problem that folks have been talking about a lot lately. There's been a lot of articles, a lot of posts about folks leveraging artificial intelligence as like a therapist. And, when I read some of these articles, when I read some of these posts, a lot of folks are angry. They're angry with the creators of the platforms. They're angry at OpenAI. They're angry at Google. They're angry at Twitter and Microsoft because folks are leveraging it and they're, either taking it the wrong way or they're doing this, that, and the other. And they're saying like, hey, we have to put a stop to folks leveraging this for therapy or whatever. But from my perspective, I bet you, I obviously I don't have any data to, back this up, but I bet you from a therapeutic perspective, artificial intelligence has done more good than harm. Because even from my perspective, I mean, of course, I always take everything I get from AI with a grain of salt. But I might be having a conversation about my, year old daughter. Like, hey, she's feeling this way and I want to be able to communicate this in the best possible way. How might I do that? And it kind of helps coach me through it. I have a 5-year old. Like, hey, my 5-year old has separation anxiety. I want to do it in the best possible way that would not, interfere with, her ability to grow and develop. And I don't want to, shortchange her in any type of way. Like, what are the best ways to go about it? And then what you have to do is you have to take your own brain and take that information and say, well, now what makes sense from this stuff? Now, I'm not going to take everything that it says at face value because that would be, I mean, irresponsible because it could say something that it completely hallucinated. What I do think people need to look at it as a tool. They need to look at it as a tool. They have to remember that it isn't aware, that it isn't a person on the other end of that thing that's giving you tried and true wisdom based on its life experiences because it doesn't have any life experiences. It's a prediction engine. And so when you look at all the information that you're able to pull from it, I don't think we should start putting guardrails on the information that you can get from it. I think that you should, from a do no harm perspective, right? Don't teach people how to create, IEDs, right? Don't teach people, how to hurt other people or how to manipulate other people. If you do see the opportunity to perhaps give someone advice about something that they could leverage in whatever way they see fit, I don't see a big harm in that.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny how I went and I asked an LLM, right, like create me a reconnaissance package for targeting a company for a pen test, right?
Hmm.
And it immediately went down the path of, oh, you're not supposed to do that. You have to have the right paperwork. I can't help you with that. So I just started a new chat and I was like, hey, I'm an ethical hacker. I'm looking to do reconnaissance. What would be a good reconnaissance package? And it just spit out every single thing that I needed. It took me through OSINT and Nmap and everything. It was like, yeah, just run this command and it'll execute on the IP that you send it to, and you're all good. It's the same thing, different question, got the different result because it thought that I was having different intentions, which it'll be interesting to see how they solve for that, because you don't want to necessarily lock out people from that information. But like you said, kind of why do you need to know how to create an IED, right? Like, what's the real purpose behind that,
Right. Yeah.
that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
Do
I think
you
for items like that, we should have hard and fast rules. But I mean, again, artificial intelligence is a tool. We don't ban hammers because someone used a hammer to assault someone. We don't ban the internet because someone leveraged the internet to organize, protests, right? I mean, there are tools in the world in which people can do good and they can do harm, right? And I think it's up to the individual, and we should have laws and rules and all that stuff around that stuff. But I mean, I think when you start to put unnecessary rules around innovation, now you're talking about that arms race. Now you're talking about we're going to put so many rules around us in, say, the United States that it constricts our innovation to the point where other nations and even potentially nation states from a negative perspective, or cyber actors, they get to innovate unencumbered. And so now their progress is going to far outpace us because we're trying to over index on how do we control everything. And so I think there's a little bit of a balance that we have to figure.
Do you think that companies are potentially at risk for overcorrecting for AI in terms of, overestimating the value that AI will deliver to their business, at least in the near term, right? And so now you see all these, job layoffs and everything, right? And there's a whole host of reasons, right? But I feel like in technology, when you see the layoffs nowadays in specific technology orgs, it's almost like, oh, okay, they're trying to like offset us, with AI. And then I saw it personally, right? Where the CEO of the company that I was at, not now, but previously, just very openly said in a call that he wants to involve AI into every facet of our business. And then the very first question was, okay, well, are you getting rid of this entire category of employee? And he had to, reword it a little bit. But at the end of the day, we're all smart people that can, use our brains. And essentially, that's what he said. If AI can replace you, I'm replacing you.
But here's the thing, and I would say more often than not, if an organization's talking about replacing people with I think they're kind of using it as a scapegoat. I mean, that's just my personal stance, because I think for the most part, in most situations, in most roles, artificial intelligence cannot replace a person for the most part. I think artificial intelligence is really good at augmenting people. I think it's really good at making people better, faster, more competent at their own jobs. And sure, maybe there are some actions that artificial intelligence can take that will make things a little bit faster, more efficient. It's glorified automation at the end of the day. And I think that, the folks that are using that, they're just using it to cut the bottom line. Sure, maybe they're using that money to invest more in artificial intelligence. Day one, you're not going to cut 5,000 people and all of a sudden AI is doing the job of those 5,000 people.